Would you have been one of the successful early settlers?
Meow!
Meow! We are going on the Shield Trail. We wanted to go on a much longer trail, but Bon Echo has still got the major trails shut because of the Draco. This will be our third time doing this, our second time doing it without snow on the ground. Kitty is wearing anti-bug stuff. The clothing is anti-bug stuff, and so is mine.
No, I just want spray.
Alright, it's in mine.
For my hat. Because they're coming at my head.
Look quite dashing, don't I? Yeah, coming at us.
Huh?
Yeah, coming at us.
Coming at your head?
Yeah. I'm going to take the toxic poison one. This is number 1.
Did you know some of the world's oldest rock is beneath your feet? Billions of years ago, the surface you are now standing on was a pool of boiling liquid called magma. Over time, this liquid hardened deep beneath the Earth's surface and crystallizing created a hard bedrock that includes granite. This ancient bedrock, known as the Canadian Shield, is one of Canada's most impressive landforms. Here in Ontario, it created a land of endless forests. Today, many trees like sugar maple, eastern white pine, American beech have formed mature mixed forests surrounding you. The Shield is also famous for its crystal clear lakes created from the hard, acidic rock and thin soils. Every summer, thousands of people from southern Ontario pack their families into vehicles and head to this land of lakes and trees. What is it about Shield country that has such a powerful allure for us? Is it the landscape's rugged beauty, the ancient power of the rock beneath you, the knowledge that wild creatures still roam the forest? Or perhaps it is the chilling song of a loon on a misty morning. Whatever draws you to this place, you may feel a kinship with a great many people who have come and gone from these forests and left their stories behind.
And you can see where the bugs are coming from. Lovely purple flowers. So it's a bit of a disappointment. We were planning for about a 4 or 5 hour hike today, and because the trail's closed, we're going to do probably about 2.5 hours on the Shield Trail, which is okay. But the Shield Trail, as you can hear, starts by a main road but quickly leaves it. The other trails are much further interior, and that's why we came with both packs and lots of survival gear. This is number 2. You'll be walking on part of the old Addington colonisation road, the first road to be built through this forested wilderness over 160 years ago. In 1854, A.B. Perry, a provincial land surveyor, began the task of building the old Addington Road, which this is. By 1856, most of the road was in place. Well, here we are at number 3. Kitty, tell us some history of what we're looking at.
Just ahead to the left, you may see a small hollow beside a yellow slow sign.
Oh yeah, that would be it. I would never know that was human-made.
Perhaps a burrow pit during the construction of the excavation of the original Addington Road, or dug by a hopeful prospector sometime in the last 120 years.
We're now going to go on the southern part of the Shield Trail. It loops by a couple of lakes and then comes back the way we came. This is a trail that's open year round. You can hike it, but most people just use it for snowmobiling. It probably goes all the way to Kingston if you know the routes.
Around the turn of the century, the discovery of gold near Clinton, just southwest of here, began a wave of excitement and frenzied exploration. Overall, their efforts were not a complete failure. Some were more fortunate and able to operate a gold mine for a time. The Bay Mine, located near Northbrook, was the largest mine in the area. Operation began in 1909, and the mine employed over 80 men at peak production. Another gold mine, the Star of the East Mine, operated from 1904 to 1907. Work was a dangerous business, with steam-driven machinery and explosives being the tools of the trade. Tragedies were not uncommon. Cave-ins, floodings, falls, explosions all claimed lives in tunnels below the ground. In the 1940s, a rich, high-grade mica deposit was also discovered in the area. Mica is used in paint, plastic, and as insulation and electrical equipment. The mine operated successfully before limited markets and transportation costs closed it down. As you walk to the next stop, imagine you're starting a farm. Does this area look like good farmland?
Oh, well, the government of Canada have given me 100 acres of land and I'm moving towards it. I'm going to turn this into a wheat field. As well as the shield, above the shield is actually a layer of sand, because this was actually ocean bed for a long, long time. And not that long ago in history, there was about 2.5 miles of glacier right above here. This trail is not disabled accessible, just be aware of that. There's a lot of hills. It says 2 hours for the 4.8 kilometers. I think that's exaggeration. I think more like 2.5 to 3 hours, because you actually want to see what you're doing. The trail itself will be wet for most of the year. Make sure you've got good footwear.
I don't have the greatest. That's one thing I might look into when we're in Ottawa.
Yeah, get some waterproof trainers.
Ooh, we got some wet stuff here.
You will get wet on this ride. It's really beautiful though. All you can hear is the trees and the birds. And this is number 4. I think we're at number 4. Farmer Roulette. The land you're standing on may have been one of the 309 gift lots surveyed for agriculture use among the old Addington Road. It doesn't look much like farmland, does it? To entice settlers, the government offered free 40-acre, 100-acre gift lots to men 18 years or older who agreed to build a cabin or house within a year, have 5 hectares, 12 acres under cultivation within 4 years, and help with the maintenance of the Addington Road. By 1862, approximately 800 people lived along the Addington Road. Land that supported enormous trees could surely support healthy crops, right? Many of the early settlers thought so, however it did not take long for them to discover otherwise. Once the trees are gone, their roots no longer held the thin topsoil in place and much of it was lost to erosion. This was just the beginning of the hardships many were unprepared for. If you were a settler like Thomas Tapping Sr., one of the first things to do would be to clear rocks from your land. This was hours of back-breaking labour. You would have to contend with thin soil, early frosts and long droughts, which would affect your crop. Frequent fires tore through the bush, leaving the remains of charred houses and crops in their way. The reality of life on the Shield proved to be more than most could handle. Some settlers persevered, but many abandoned their home. Would you have been one of the successful early settlers? What temperature is it?
20?
20. It's about 21. Very good. How was that for a mushroom? Wow, look at that. We're now at number 5. And this is a huge erratic. This must be saying the glaciers were here, they melted, and they dropped rocks. Look at that. That's a big one. Would you like to move that?
Sure. Take a look at the massive boulder in front of you. Where do you think it came from? It certainly didn't come from around here. This glacial erratic is a reminder of the tremendous icy force that shaped the Shield into the land we know today. These huge sheets of ice exerted a pressure of 9 billion tons per square kilometre of land. As they advanced, the ice sheets crept over the landscape, picking up rocks and soil as they bulldozed their way along.
But when you get into these trails, the trails can be often disappearing. Kitty is heading in the right direction because there is an orange trail marking there. But if that was down, you could easily just start going that way by mistake. Kitty has spied with her little eye a whole bunch of deer poop, we think.
Mushroom?
And mushrooms. What's that, Kitty?
Oh.
Interesting fungi. There's the water going into one of the many beaver ponds over there. Actually, it's more like a beaver wetland because it's fairly dry. And the trail signs have gone from orange to yellow for no apparent reason. We are at 6, and as you can see, the entire trail has got wind damage on it, and it's showing you a beaver wetland. There are many areas in the Canadian Shield where beavers create ponds by building dams across the stream. To your left, you may notice an area that was a wetland. Actually, in the wetland, a beaver pond now filled with grasses and sedges. Beavers were important to some of the early indigenous peoples as a source of food and clothing and continue to be important to indigenous communities today. Some early settlers also relied on beavers to supplement their diet when farming proved difficult. Settlers used beaver hay when natural hay wasn't available. It grew in wet meadows formed after a beaver pond dried up. Do you see any wintergreen? Wintergreen grows in almost all soils, prefers moist acidic soils and shady, partially sunny areas. The thick leathery surface prevents loss of moisture during extreme drought, as white flowers appear in June and bright red berries appear in September. White-tailed deer, black bears and eastern chipmunks like the plant, and ruffed grouse eat the berries and leaves. Some indigenous people brewed a tea from the leaves to alleviate headaches and other aches. They allow the dams to break and they don't repair them, and it allows the regeneration to occur. And then at some point, they redam it when there's got fresh trees to eat.
I don't think it's one of the really like sand types or sandbanks. I don't think it's as popular as that.
No, it's kind of near north, so you have the bugs, right? People don't like that. They like a sterile environment.
Maybe it's just a bit off the beaten track.
Maybe.
I'd like to go to petroglyphs.
Yeah, I really actually do very much want to do that, and I also want to do some of the caves that are up in this area.
Yeah, off the 509.
Right.
Or the 506.
Bit of a long drive to get up here, but it's worth it. Now you might be wondering why I don't have a bear bell on me. Mostly because I don't like the noise, but also because this type of trail is actually an official trail and a lot of people use it. So many bears that live around here are totally used to people wandering through. So there's not much point. In terms of a predatory bear, anything predatory around here usually is campsite related and usually they get dealt with. But just in case, Kitty has a bear spray so I can grab it quick if we need it. So one of the things you want to consider when you do this type of a hike is if it's been raining or snow's just melted. These rocks are very, very treacherous. It's also pretty hilly. And this is number 7.
Look up, look way, way up. About 150 years ago, these majestic eastern white pines would have towered above Bon Echo's forests, up to 20 times your height, with diameters of more than 1 meter across. These giants attracted the keen interest of lumber companies like the Gilmore Lumber Company in the mid-19th century and the Sawyer Stroll Lumber Company in the mid-1930s. Logging began in Ottawa, extended upstream via the Canadian Mississippi River in the early 1800s. Logging reached the Bon Echo area in 1850s, as the Addington Road provided easier access to the forest. Local lumber mills processed the timber, and sawn lumber was shipped to Europe and the United States. Local farmers and men willing to travel to the remote camps were hired for the winter and spring months to fell and transport the logs. The men left their families in the fall and didn't return until springtime. Life in the camps was not easy. For about $1 a day, you woke before dawn, worked in the bush until sundown. In the spring, you would work on the log drive down the rivers. Whatever the work, the menu never changed. They were served beans, salt pork, and bread. 2 to a bed and fought off lice and bed bugs all winter. These were minor complaints compared to the real dangers of working in the bush. Many lives were lost in accidents at the cut sites and on the treacherous spring drives. Despite the hardships and risk, these men enjoyed an economic stability the area has not seen since. This was short-lived. After about 40 years, the Great Pines all but vanished from the horizon, and the curtain closed on the Mazenod lumber boom.
The entire trail has trees down, and they've come in and they've fixed it. Like I say, the 10-mile trail is still closed. I think they're basically having to rebuild the entire road to get to it, to log it out, to open it up again. Kitty, where are you? You can see, if we don't log, within a couple hundred years, you end up getting these magnificent trees. Just magnificent.
That's cool, eh?
Wow. Yeah, that's about what, 12 foot tall? And it's only half of it as well. Yeah, that's 12 foot, maybe 13 feet. A big tree down there. Now watch out for these signs, because now they're yellow triangles. But the trail's pretty obvious at this point. So you get the yellow sign this way. Then you get an orange sign that way. And we have arrived at the lake, which I'm excited about, because it means wraps for lunch. Look at Kitty go, nothing stops her. Kids, public service announcement. Don't place your tent under these. It's the lake we were heading for. Nice and windy as well. Yeah. Anyway, lunchtime. Alright, so we're going to go over there. Red berries. Well, this is the third decent picnic spot we've found on this beaver pond. This is not the big lake. There you go. Yellow and orange signs together. This is not good farming land. This is the 4th, and by far the nicest, picnic spot. And there's the beaver dam.
At stop 6, we saw a wetland slowly returning to a forest. Here's a wetland with a lot of open water. Thousands of years ago, indigenous people traveled in the Mazenod region and lived a nomadic existence. They moved in family groups according to the seasonal availability of food to hunt, fish, and gather plants, and surviving on what land had to offer. Marshes like this one abound with wild plant food. Cattails, like the ones in front of you, have long been harvested for their nutritious root in the fall. The roots of cattails can provide far more food per unit than wheat, oats, corn, or rye. The roots are usually ground into a sweet flour which can be used for bread. Their pollen, flowers, and spring shoots can also be eaten. Early indigenous peoples also valued water lilies. Water lily roots are high in sugar and starch and can be harvested in late fall or early spring. They can be boiled and eaten like potatoes or used for flour. The seed can also be popped like corn or ground into flour.
This is the north side of the Shield Trail, and this is number 9. And most people come on the north side and don't do the south side. But isn't it beautiful? This is Bon Echo Lake. This is an interior lake. For thousands of years, the abundant waterways and forests of the Shield, including those in the Bon Echo area, were used extensively by indigenous people. Some made birch bark canoes with lightweight, water-resistant bark halves in sheets from white or paper birch trees. The bark was stretched across wooden frames, then spruce or pine gum was used to seal the seams, prevent leaking. Johnny Bay, a local indigenous guide, made birch bark canoes, and one can be seen in the visitor centre. Yes, you can rent those. There are cabins over there. They're quite expensive and pretty isolated. Other than the usual very crowded camping spots by Mackinac Lake, you actually do have some interior stuff, but like I say, that trail's closed, so there's no interior camping at the moment, other than on designated spots on one of the lakes and over there. Kitty has got me risking life and limb to find one of these poop mushrooms. Okay, I have never seen a poop mushroom. I don't know what that is. It doesn't look very appetizing, does it? This isn't Joe Perry Lake, is it?
No, I don't think so.
There you go, one of the main lakes. A year ago, these were living trees. Just to give you an idea of what we're going through here. This is quite challenging. Absolutely beautiful though. At this point, I'm starting to feel it in my legs. Yeah, you have to be reasonably fit for this type of stuff. And thank goodness I'm finally reasonably fit.
Yeah, this is the one I remember.
Yes, I have this on video. These are all sadly fresh.
Yes.
But that's the original fall. Been through this in the summer and in the winter. Now we're coming towards the end of the westward trek on this, I think. And now we're going to be going downhill. Quite a steep downhill. And we're passing through a tree. How old's the tree? It's old.
Pretty old.
Old and rotten. Well, alright, good luck. So always send Kitty first in case she falls. From the Draco, although it's still middle of May, and the leaves haven't fully uncurled, this is way lighter than I'm used to seeing at this time of year. Hopefully the little trees will grow. Waiting for that bird noise the whole time. We're now at number 10. Very pretty. Kitty's been running away from me.
Look around. You are coming down an upland forested area into a lower area. What do you see around you? You're in a section of mixed forest with hardwood like sugar and striped maples, as well as coniferous trees like eastern white pine. Shrubs like hobbled bush are also found in the understory and can be seen at this stop.
This is an entirely different hiking experience in the summer compared to the winter, that's for sure. There's some different berries. Berries and fungus I need to learn. The parts of this trail definitely moderate to difficult, so be careful if you come out here unfit. So the poop is becoming more of the black ones.
What is it?
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, this is wide open, but it's letting the little trees grow. Normally, you'd have a canopy above. Hear the major road noise. We're getting close to the end of the loop. See how many trees are now. It's now 24 centigrade, a little bit higher than 70 Fahrenheit, whatever that is in Americans. And it's been a beautiful walk. Quite challenging, but I feel good. Plan was to do twice this today, and hasn't worked out because the trail's closed, but this has been a great walk. So that took us an hour and 50, including stops to video and stops to eat, so probably about an hour 30 for us. Gently rolling things, big lie. So that's Bon Echo Lake. You can actually rent expensive cabins, about 14 of them on this side. non-motorized. There's no interior camping here. There is interior camping way up there, but its trail is shut. Whenever it opens, we will be doing that. It's about a 21-kilometer round trip, which if those people who run know, that's about 13 miles, because it's about a half marathon. You don't sign into this stuff, but I guess if they come around in dusk and they see your car, then they might get concerned. Thanks for watching.
Bye!
Doodles! Well, that's it from us. We're finished. Thank you for coming on the walk. Hope you have a great day. Doodles. This video has been brought to you by an Earth Day Terrier Production 2023.